You're bleeding money right now, today, this very moment. Not from bad investments, not from market crashes, from something far more insidious, subscriptions you forgot existed. Research from C+R Research reveals Americans underestimate their monthly subscription spending by an average of $133. That's not a typo. Each month, consumers think they're spending one amount, but they're actually spending $133 more. Multiply that across a year. That's nearly $1,600 vanishing without you even realizing it. Here's what makes this particularly troubling. A Chase survey of 2,000 U.S. consumers found that 60% had forgotten about a recurring monthly payment in the past year. 60%. That's not a minority, that's the majority of Americans. We're going to fix this, together, right now. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through a process, a subscription death audit, that will uncover every dollar you're losing to forgotten bills, autopay traps, and what behavioral economists call set and forget spending. No complex spreadsheets. No accounting degree required. Just 15 minutes and your willingness to face the truth about where your money actually goes. Before we begin the audit, you need to understand why this happened. You're not careless. You're not financially incompetent. You're human. And subscription companies have spent millions studying your psychology to exploit it. A peer-reviewed study published in the International Journal of Advanced Research examined how subscription models deliberately capitalize on what researchers call cognitive inertia. This is your brain's preference for established behavioral patterns over new ones, even when those patterns work against your interests. Think about it. You signed up for that streaming service to watch one show. The show ended 3 months ago, but canceling requires a decision. Maintaining the status quo requires nothing. Your brain defaults to nothing. Psychologists at Harvard and Princeton demonstrated this phenomenon through what they call hyperbolic discounting. Consumers favor immediate gratification, the ability to watch that show tonight, over substantial future rewards, like saving $15 monthly for years. When Amazon Prime offers a 30-day free trial, they're not being generous. They're engineering habit formation. Research shows once that trial ends, you're significantly more likely to continue paying than to cancel, even if you barely use the service. Decision fatigue compounds this problem. A concept analysis published in the Journal of Advanced Nursing identified 3 primary effects of decision fatigue: behavioral deterioration, cognitive impairment, and physiological decline. After making numerous decisions throughout your day, what to eat, what to wear, how to respond to that work email, your capacity for thoughtful decision-making diminishes. Canceling a subscription requires active decision-making. Letting it continue requires nothing. Researchers Pachapsova, Amir, Dar, and Baumister demonstrated in the Journal of Marketing Research that consumers experiencing decision fatigue showed decreased self-control and increased reliance on default choices. Subscription companies understand this. They make signing up effortless and canceling deliberately complicated. You're facing an opponent that has weaponized behavioral science against your wallet. But knowledge is power. Understanding these mechanisms strips away their effectiveness. Let's talk numbers. Real numbers. Research-backed numbers. According to data compiled by C+R Research, monthly subscription spending averages $219 per person. Per person, not per household. If you're married, that's potentially $438 monthly in recurring charges. That's $5,256 annually. But here's what makes this particularly damaging. 72% of survey respondents set all their payments to Autopay. Another 14% set some to Autopay. That's 86% of consumers who have automated the flow of money out of their accounts. Autopay is useful for bills you can't avoid: your mortgage, utilities, insurance. But for discretionary subscriptions, Autopay transforms a conscious monthly decision into an invisible wealth transfer. Money Digest analyzed this phenomenon and found a simple example. One forgotten subscription, charging $14.99 monthly, costs $179.88 annually. Just one. Not the streaming service you still use. Not the gym membership you actually visit. One forgotten subscription. Most people have more than one. Research in behavioral economics demonstrates what scholars call the endowment effect. Once you subscribe to something, you develop a sense of ownership over it. This makes canceling psychologically challenging even when you're not using it. Loss aversion kicks in. The act of canceling feels like losing something, triggering emotional responses that outweigh the rational benefits of keeping that money. You're not losing money to subscriptions, you're losing it to psychology. Here's how we're going to recover your money. This isn't theory, this is action. Grab your phone, grab your laptop if it's nearby. We're doing this together, right now. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Actually do it. The constraint matters. Research on decision-making shows that time limits reduce decision fatigue by creating urgency. Without a deadline, this task expands to fill whatever time you give it, and you'll quit before finishing. 15 minutes. That's all this takes. First stop, your email inbox. Every subscription sends confirmation emails when you sign up. Every recurring charge triggers a receipt. Your email is a complete financial record if you know how to read it. Open your email. Use the search function. Type receipt. Just that word. Receipt. Watch what appears. Netflix receipts. Spotify receipts. That meditation app you downloaded during a stressful week last April. The cloud storage service you needed for one project 2 years ago. Don't judge what you see. Not yet. We're gathering data, not making decisions. Now search subscription. See what else appears. Now try Autopay. Finally, search Renew or Renewal. For each result that appears, ask one simple question. Did I know this was still charging me? Open a note on your phone or grab a piece of paper. Write down every subscription you find that surprises you. Include the amount. Include when you last actually used it. This step alone typically reveals 2 to 4 forgotten subscriptions. At $15 each, that's $60 to $120 monthly. That's $720 to $1,440 annually. 3 minutes of email searching. 4 figures of recovered wealth. Email only captures subscriptions that send receipts. Some companies bury their charges. Others use billing names you won't recognize. Log into your bank account. Pull up your checking account statement from last month. Scan every transaction. Not quickly. Slowly. Read each merchant name. Research shows people who rush through statements miss an average of 30% of recurring charges they don't recognize. Look for these patterns. Charges that appear monthly on the same date or close to it. That's the signature of a subscription. Small amounts. Research from behavioral economics demonstrates that consumers often ignore charges under $10. Subscription companies know this. They price services at $4.99 or $7.99 specifically because your brain dismisses these amounts as trivial. But 4 subscriptions at $7.99 each costs $383.52 annually. Merchant names you don't immediately recognize. Companies often bill under parent corporation names or processing service names. That charge from AMCN Digital might be an Amazon Prime subscription you forgot about. That $9.99 Google services could be Google One storage you never use. When you find something unclear, don't skip it. Google the merchant name. Find out what it is. You'll be surprised how often these mystery charges turn out to be subscriptions you completely forgot you'd authorized. Add these to your list. Studies on consumer financial behavior show most people discover 2 to 5 additional subscriptions through this bank statement review that didn't appear in their email search. Many people split their subscriptions across multiple payment methods. Check every credit card you actively use. Log into each credit card account. Review last month's statement using the same process you just used for your bank account. Look for recurring charges. Look for amounts you don't recognize. Look for merchant names that seem unfamiliar. This is where many people discover their most expensive forgotten subscriptions. That $39.99 monthly charge for software you needed for one project last year. The $49 annual domain registration for a website you never launched. The $79 yearly membership to a professional organization you haven't engaged with since joining. Research published in Advances in Consumer Research on subscription cancellation patterns found that consumers are particularly prone to forgetting annual subscriptions because they only appear on statements once yearly. By the time the charge hits, you've completely forgotten the service exists. Add everything you find to your list. Modern subscription traps increasingly hide inside app stores. If you have an iPhone, open Settings. Tap your name at the top. Select Subscriptions. Every active subscription tied to your Apple ID appears here. Many people discover subscriptions they had no idea were running. Apps they deleted months ago still charging them because deleting an app doesn't cancel its subscription. Android users, open the Google Play Store. Tap your profile icon. Select Payments and Subscriptions, then tap Subscriptions. Again, write down everything that surprises you. Research from academic studies on digital consumer behavior shows that app-based subscriptions have the highest rate of subscription amnesia because users often sign up during free trials with one tap, forget about them completely, and never see the charges because they're bundled into larger credit card bills. A 2022 study found that mobile app subscriptions account for an average of $47 monthly in forgotten charges per consumer. You now have a complete list. Everything that's been quietly draining your accounts. For the final 2 minutes, we're making decisions, but we're making them strategically using a simple framework that eliminates decision fatigue. For each subscription on your list, answer 3 questions. Question 1. Have I used this service in the past 30 days? If no, cancel it immediately. No deliberation. Research on consumer decision-making demonstrates that services unused for 30 days have a less than 8% chance of being used in the subsequent 90 days. You're not canceling something valuable. You're stopping the bleeding. Question 2. If I didn't currently have this subscription, would I sign up for it today at this price? This question bypasses the endowment effect and loss aversion. It reframes the decision from, am I losing something to, is this worth what I'd pay for it right now? If the answer is no, cancel it. Question 3. Could I achieve the same result with something I already have or with a free alternative? Many people pay for multiple services that provide identical functionality. You don't need 3 cloud storage services. You don't need 4 streaming platforms if you only watch one show monthly. You don't need a premium meditation app when free alternatives exist on YouTube. For each subscription that survives these 3 questions, keep it. Everything else goes. Don't defer this. Research on implementation intention shows that deciding to cancel later has a less than 15% follow-through rate. You'll forget. Life will intervene. The subscription will continue charging you. Cancel now. Today. This moment. Most services now allow cancellation directly through their websites or apps. Navigate to account settings. Look for managed subscription or billing. Click Cancel. Some companies deliberately make cancellation difficult. They require phone calls. They force you through retention specialists trained to talk you out of it. Research published in regulatory studies found that these dark patterns, design techniques that exploit psychological vulnerabilities, are under investigation in both the European Union and United States for consumer protection violations. If a company makes canceling deliberately difficult, that's all the more reason to cancel. Any organization that respects its customers makes both sign-up and cancellation equally straightforward. For phone cancellations, have one phrase ready. I have made my decision, and I'm not changing my mind. Please process my cancellation. Repeat it as many times as necessary. Retention specialists are trained to overcome objections, but they're also tracked on call duration. Be polite but immovable. They'll process your cancellation. Let's calculate what you just accomplished. Based on research averages, most people who complete this audit discover between $75 and $150 in monthly subscription charges they'd forgotten about or didn't realize were active. We'll be conservative. Let's say you found $100 monthly. That's $1,200 annually. But it's actually more valuable than that. $1 saved from recurring expenses is more valuable than $1 saved from one-time purchases because it compounds. That $100 monthly, if invested in a basic index fund averaging 8% annual returns, grows to $1,836 in year 1, $3,789 in year 2, and $18,417 after 10 years. You didn't just save money, you created a wealth building mechanism. Consider this: research from behavioral finance demonstrates that small recurring savings changes produce substantially better long-term wealth outcomes than large one-time sacrifices because they're easier to sustain. Saving $100 monthly by eliminating forgotten subscriptions requires zero willpower after the initial cancellation. It happens automatically. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that average annual consumer expenditures in 2024 were $78,535. Most American households have minimal financial assets when you exclude home and vehicle equity. A comprehensive study on consumer spending found that the typical household could sustain itself economically for only 1 to 2 months without employment income, the $1,200 annually you just recovered. For many households, that represents 10 to 20% of their total emergency fund capacity. That's not trivial money. That's security. Recovering this money once is valuable. Preventing it from happening again is transformative. Create a simple subscription tracking system. You don't need specialized software. A basic spreadsheet works. Google Sheets is free. Create 4 columns: service name, monthly cost, billing date, last used. Enter every active subscription you decided to keep. Set a calendar reminder for the first day of each month. Review the list. Update the last used column. Any subscription you haven't used in 30 days gets flagged for cancellation review. This system takes 3 minutes monthly. That's 36 minutes annually. You just spent 15 minutes recovering potentially 4 figures. Spending 36 minutes yearly to prevent that problem from recurring is arguably the highest ROI time investment you can make. Research on habit formation from behavioral science indicates that monthly review rituals, when tied to specific calendar triggers, have a 67% long-term adherence rate. Link this review to an existing monthly habit: the day you pay your mortgage, the first Monday of each month, whenever your paycheck arrives. Some apps will do this tracking automatically. Apps like Truebill or Rocket Money connect to your bank accounts and identify recurring charges. Trim uses artificial intelligence to analyze your transactions. These tools can be helpful, but they're not necessary. A simple spreadsheet and a monthly calendar reminder accomplish the same goal without sharing your financial data with third parties. This 15-minute audit reveals something more significant than wasted subscription money. It exposes a broader pattern in how most people relate to their finances. Financial wealth, according to extensive research on wealth accumulation, represents what you accumulate, not what you spend. The Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey shows Americans spent an average of $77,280 in 2023. But spending and wealth are inversely related. High spending, even with high income, produces minimal wealth accumulation. The people who build substantial wealth, what research calls wealth accumulators, share a common characteristic: they know where every dollar goes. Not approximately. Exactly. Forgotten subscriptions represent the opposite pattern. They're money leaving your accounts without your awareness or consent. That's not just a subscription problem. It's a systemic financial awareness problem. Studies on wealth accumulation consistently demonstrate that self-made millionaires, regardless of income level, maintain detailed awareness of their spending patterns. This doesn't mean obsessive penny pinching. It means intentional allocation. Every dollar serves a purpose they've consciously chosen. When you complete this subscription audit, you're doing more than recovering money. You're developing the fundamental habit that distinguishes wealth accumulators from high-income earners who remain perpetually broke: conscious awareness of where your money flows. One final piece: the maintenance protocol. Every 3 months, repeat a modified version of this audit. Not the full 15 minutes, 5 minutes quarterly. Pull up your bank statements from the past 3 months. Scan for any new recurring charges. Add them to your tracking spreadsheet if they're intentional. Cancel them immediately if they're not. Research on consumer financial behavior demonstrates that subscription accumulation follows a predictable pattern. Most people acquire 3 to 5 new subscriptions annually. Many result from free trials they intended to cancel but forgot about. Others come from promotional offers where the discounted introductory rate expires and jumps to a much higher standard rate. Without quarterly reviews, these new subscriptions accumulate invisibly. Within a year, you're back where you started, bleeding money to services you've forgotten about. The quarterly review prevents this. 5 minutes every 3 months. 20 minutes annually. That's your insurance policy against subscription creep. Calendar it right now. Pull out your phone. Create a recurring reminder. First day of every quarter. Label it subscription audit. When that reminder fires, honor it. Don't defer it. Don't skip it. This is your financial immune system preventing a recurring infection. You now possess something valuable. Not just the money you recovered, though that's significant. You possess a system, a process, a defense mechanism against one of the most pervasive forms of wealth erosion in modern consumer culture. Subscription companies have spent enormous resources studying human psychology to engineer systems that separate you from your money. They've weaponized cognitive biases, decision fatigue, loss aversion, and the endowment effect. They've made sign-up effortless and cancellation deliberately complicated. But you now understand how these mechanisms work. Understanding strips away their power. You've completed the audit. You've recovered your money. You've created a tracking system. You've established a quarterly review protocol. That's 4 defensive layers against subscription-based wealth erosion. The average American, according to C+R Research, underestimates their subscription spending by $133 monthly. Most will never discover this gap. They'll continue hemorrhaging $1,596 annually without ever realizing it's happening. You're no longer average. You're aware. You're protected. You're in control. Research from behavioral economics demonstrates that the greatest predictor of long-term wealth accumulation isn't income level, inheritance, or education. It's conscious control over spending patterns. It's knowing where your money goes and ensuring it serves your interests rather than corporate shareholders. 15 minutes. That's what separated you from continued financial hemorrhaging. 15 minutes of focused effort to uncover hidden wealth leaks. What you do with the money you recovered matters. Don't let it dissipate into general spending. Direct it somewhere intentional. An emergency fund if you don't have one. Retirement contributions if you do. Debt elimination if that's your priority. Make the recovered money serve a purpose more valuable than the subscriptions it was funding. You've stopped the bleeding. Now channel that recovered wealth toward building something substantial. The 15-minute subscription death audit is complete. Your financial defense system is active. Now you know where your money goes. And more importantly, you've taken it back.